Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko, pleasure to be with you, along with Tariq, Spence, Pat, Duffy. Tariq, how you doing?
Happy about that second half against the Giants in Arizona.
You love your team.
I wanted to fire everybody at halftime, and then I loved everybody after the game.
What you wearing here, Pat?
This is a genuine Stella Duffy Rochester Edge 14U girls hockey jersey, and there's a reason I'm wearing it with the button that I wear every game she plays, and I'll tell you about it at the end of the show.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh.
And we can't wait to talk about the Buffalo Bills this week. First of all, just to lay it out, I thought I was so pleased. And it wasn't just a matter of it being a margin, but it was the game plan that they rolled out there and stuck to it. It made a real difference.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It was brought up in the Let's Go Duffalo podcast, which I listened to yet again.
Great show.
This way, I think Ryan is amazing and a genius. But at any rate, I will say this. You know what's funny about it? You brought up a stat that I thought was interesting. I'd never seen a running back who was that dominant the year before it gets shut down. You mentioned it in your podcast, and it was textbook comeback Bills. I know we disappointed everybody in that Jets game, but we're home. We're going to be out. We're going to be loud. We're going to be crazy. It was the West Coast trip again, like I said, for the Raiders. They just went into a buzzsaw and they just got destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with everything the way it worked out, and none of it was surprising, although I did call a backdoor cover last week for the Raiders. I mean, the way that the momentum worked, the Bills were able to seize momentum, and I think that's the difference between week 1 and week 2, is that things were going okay for the Bills defensively. They were never able to seize the momentum offensively from it, where when everything happened negatively for the Raiders, the Bills took advantage and moved forward with it.
But but I get back to the game plan.
Sure.
Just offensively, how in control they were. So that it was like, take what they give you, move the ball, control the clock, things that are foreign to this team a lot of times.
The Bills were 40 to 20 minutes in time of possession, which was insane. And in the third quarter especially, I believe they had 12 and a half minutes time of possession to the rest of the 15 minutes for the Raiders, which is bananas. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I did miss
Here it comes.
Feast or Famine Josh Allen. I want hair on fire Josh Allen. I love hair on fire Josh Allen.
Well, no, you always said that if he changes the way he does things, he's no longer Josh Allen.
Exactly. I mean, he's not the superhero anymore. And here's my concern. And I think this is valid. You can beat the Raiders with that game plan, taking every pass under 20 yards. You can beat Washington this week, working that game plan. Can you beat Miami? Can you beat Kansas City? Can you beat Dallas? And does Josh Allen have the ability to play in that structure, and if they need him to, flip a switch and become Superman Josh Allen? I don't know if he can.
Well, you're worried about this, but I will say this. You got a consistent quarterback that allowed a team to come in and go and dominate the offense. Third quarter, you mentioned this, time of possession. How key was that, the running game, which I've mentioned before? You liked Cooks. Don't sit here and say you didn't like Cooks. You like Cooks in the third quarter. You like the way they control the ball offense. You like the fact that their defense rested in the fourth quarter and shut them down. Let's be honest with you. You mean to tell me you would like to have erratic, home run, feast or famine Josh Allen?
You like to have the option. You want the option.
But this is video game Madden stuff. You want the professional you got last week, week 2 of the NFL. Most of the NFL regular season that you do.
Yeah, don't you have to his point, don't you have to see that the more conservative approach isn't working, perhaps, before you take that leap?
All right, 2 points. The Vikings have the most conservative quarterback in the NFL in Kirk Cousins. He doesn't get more. Every shirt he wears is tucked into his jean shorts. No,
please.
But that's the Josh Allen we saw. And again, I know it's different, but that's as conservative as it gets for a quarterback that's successful. They win regular season games that don't matter. When it matters and a team's ready to run it up, they can't win. That's what I'm scared of. But to the point you made a second ago, that's the one. This is the way you want to win with Josh Allen playing that way. People forgot after Monday Night Football. For every bad Josh game that we get like Monday night, you get 3 hair on fire, amazing win Josh Allens. And I'm still at the point where if I'm going to get 3 amazing wins for every 1 disaster performance, I'll take that. 3 to 1 in the NFL is worth it to me.
Let me go to one other thing. They were using Latavius Murray a lot more, I thought, effectively, and pushing Cook perhaps to a third down back.
I think you need about 2 to 3 backs. And the reason why I bring that up is because of what happened to Nick Chubb. You know full well you just can't have 1 running back or 2. You got to have 3 or 4 of them ready to play. So I understand that the longevity, especially for the running game, which cannot go away. I understand it. I live with it. I think it's a smart move for the Bills. And who knows? I mean, you never know who's going to be the big star at that running game somewhere down the line. I think you need 3 running backs minimum in the NFL.
I think what was most interesting about how they use the running backs is there was no rhyme or reason. You saw Latavius Murray getting midfield carries. You saw Harris getting midfield carries. All 3 of them got carries inside the goal line, and it was the Cook show in the third going into the fourth quarter. I mean, he went over 100 yards for the first time in his career. He added 36, if I'm not mistaken, receiving yards. He was over 150 total yards.
It was everything I said last week. A little less pressure on Allen, spread the ball around, let that running game go for a while. You were able to get, a 28-point victory?
So that's the setup. It's Washington this week, 6.5 points is the line. Our picks are next. Greg Connors joins us next on the Rochester Press Box. Just passing through, life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Connors of Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and proud sponsor of Buffalo Bills Training Camp.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Our pick segment brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Greg Connors is here. Greg, you're leading the league here in terms of your picks against the spread. What do you got for us this week? We're playing the Bills are giving 6.5 at Washington. How do you see it?
Well, as a Bills fan, I cheered for the Pats last week, and of course, that's the game that I lost. So Bills fans never cheer for the Patriots. They're always going to let us down. This week, giving up 6.5 points, the offense hasn't quite, I'm not sure what their personality is yet. So they might be like Jekyll and Hyde here. I think the Bills win, but I don't think they cover. So I'm going to take the Commanders with the points.
Honest God, I thought you were I thought it was a homer. Like every week we're going to get Greg is going to be taking it. This is 2 out of 3 now. He's picked against him.
It's so scary because I think the Bills will win the game, but the Commanders are a weird, scrappy little team there. So I don't think you're going to go exactly like the Raiders last week.
2-0. What's your second pick, Greg?
And then we were talking off camera about these Steelers. Tomlin never apologizes for a win. I think the Steelers are going to cover against the Raiders, so I'm going to take the Steelers over the Raiders.
Listening to we were talking about Tomlin at the podium. He's got a chip on his shoulder, like a chip like he lost that game that he won on Monday night. I think, to Greg's point, I think that kind of goes in his direction.
Well, I mean, you understand why you might be a little bit nervous. You're now on your second quarterback that you thought was your franchise guy after your franchise guy. Time might be taking a little bit for my turn.
Listen, it's hard to find a franchise guy, but if your defense is scoring the way they've been, I'm like, those should be fine.
Bills game 6.5. Tariq, how do you see it?
Listen, I gotta go with the Bills. I think it's gonna be close. I would not go with that. That 6.5 is a lot. And Washington, they're bizarre. They're just a team that's scrappy and dangerous. It's gonna be a fight to the third or fourth quarter.
Am I the only sensible human being in this room right now? Here's your stat of the year. In 2 games, the Commanders have given up 10 sacks, and that's against a pass rush that is not even close to what the Buffalo Bills are offering. The Bills are going to win. Of course they win by 7 points.
Yeah, I think I'll agree. I take the Bills. Got a secondary game?
Over there. I do. I think the Chargers will not be able to win a game for the next 2 to 3 weeks, so I do not cover them this week as well. I stay away from the Chargers.
Pick them with the Vikings.
I will say the Vikings. I know the Vikings are 0-2, but they're more consistent. The Chargers got a lot of problems, and I'm worried about their head coach.
Secondary game?
Your giant lock of the week. I need a giant prop lock for this because this is coming. This is going to be easy for you. Chiefs, Bears. Bears are 12.5-point dogs. The Bears need to play better. The Chiefs not as good as everyone thinks, especially offensively. The Bears will cover the 12.5 at Arrowhead. Giant lock prop. Just imagine.
You're putting your faith in the Bears offense?
I'm putting it in Rochester, Canandaigua native, general manager of the Bears, Ryan
Is he playing on Sunday?
Big lock with his face on it.
I think they need him.
My secondary, I like the Lions at home giving what was 6.5? 6.5 or 3.5?
3.5.
3. I'm 3.5 to the Falcons. It makes it that much more easy. But I'm 1-3. No one really cares what I think. Greg, you're the league leader. What do you think of the discussion on the games this week?
I don't know. Chris Jones back with the Chiefs. I think their defense is back, so I think they do cover against the Bears. And That to me, seeing them, and then with the thing about the Commanders, who are they? The only name I recognize from the Commanders is their head coach.
Well, I mean, you got Chase Young, you got Terry McLaurin, which, by the way, you're proving my point. Thank you very much. I'm very excited for a head-to-head end of beginner's luck here.
Well, I've heard that some of the stuff that's going on with the Commanders is that Daniel Snyder's not the owner anymore, and there's a whole new vibe around that team. I think there's something to that.
Hey, can the new owner play right tackle? Because that would help them.
And oh, by the way, remember that controversy with Eric Bieniemy and the way he's treated his players? They've won 2 games to start off the season, so I guess he must be treating them right.
They beat the Cardinals and the Broncos.
They didn't make the schedule, Duffy, for crying out loud.
Thank you, guys. Greg, thank you very much for your picks. Good luck this week.
Let's go, Bills.
Our pick segment was brought to you by Connors and Ferris. Like it or not is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Perfect time of year to be in the Finger Lakes. Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I'm going to take you to the village of Hammondsport, south end of Cuca Lake. Come along for the ride. Look for the getaway guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair, no appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. I have a difficult time with the first Like It or Not. It's these hits that we're seeing. The Travis Hunter one in the Colorado game, lacerated kidney with a dirty hit on the sideline. There was a play when Devontae Adams had to leave for the Raiders on a hit by
Taylor Rapp.
These things, it seems like there should be more repercussions than the rules are allowing for guys who are putting other players out of the game.
Okay, for the Colorado hit, I was surprised that the conference nor the NCAA didn't do anything. That was a legitimately late hit, although Deion Sanders, after finding out the kid was getting death threats, very coolly came out and said, hey, it's cool. Hunter came out and said, he apologized to me, it's fine. The Rapp hit is a little more
nuance.
Yes, shades of gray. Yeah, thank you. Because I don't think that was an intentionally dirty hit. And I'll be honest with you, not to sound like a homer, I don't know if it was dirty in general. He was trying to separate a ball from a receiver who he thought had made the catch. The ball gets knocked away at the last moment, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I, just like everybody else, don't want to see those head-to-head hits. But if a man's trying to make a play and there is no ill intent, and it is not an egregiously helmet-to-helmet hit on a defenseless receiver who he believes is making a play in that moment, what are you supposed to do?
The setup on the Bills thing, Tariq, is like you wind up penalizing the Raiders because Adams has to go out of the game and doesn't return. If that game had been close, that play would have been really big because he takes him out of the game. The team that gets victimized on a hit like that winds up taking the penalty.
And the NFL, remember, they're always pushing the safety thing, and it's always become this big issue, but obviously it is a very violent sport. Which leads you back to the Colorado hit, too, in the sense that Deion Sanders basically, he kind of pushed off the fact that the hit was dirty and said it's football. And so we do realize this is a very violent sport. At any given moment, guys can get hurt. But what I found interesting about this was that there was so much before that Colorado State game about, how we're taught and what our parents tell us and what our coaches tell us and all these different things. Yet there was really nothing after that. Now, this kid getting death threats is way, way out of line. And this is just, that's part of the dirtiness of the game. But we have to remind ourselves with guys getting hurt. I mean, Rodgers got hurt week 1 in a non-contact situation. The Buffalo Bills game was a contact situation. This is the game we play, we watch people play.
This is the life we live.
This is the life we live.
But it's the life they live.
choose.
It's easy for us to sit here and say it's the life you live. This is
right out of the Godfather.
And that's but that is the game that is being played every Sunday at any given moment. We've had 2 basically season-ending injuries the last 2 weeks, and we're not even talking about the late hits and plays in college and high school.
All right, I guess I'll ask you this question because you're upset with the way that it worked out in Buffalo.
Well, it had nothing to do with the fact that Adams is on my fantasy team.
Yeah, no, we'll leave that aside. College has that targeting personal foul penalty. If the NFL adopted a rule where the player who committed that hit was ejected, would you think that would solve the problem?
No.
Because, I mean, it would solve the issue that you brought up. You would be trading a player for a player.
And by the way, if Hunter wasn't on the most celebrated college football team in the country, would that even have been brought up as a dirty hit?
Oh, yeah,
in college football?
That was a full two steps late.
Like it or not, Vent, you got 15 seconds on the New York Giants.
I absolutely love what they're doing. Listen, can we destroy the myth here that Dable was not calling plays in that second half? 0 points in the first half, all the points in the second half leading to the game. Dable was calling the plays. Let's get rid of this mystery. Oh, no, Kafka got that. No, he didn't. It was Brian Dable that won that game.
Quick rebuttal. What are you? You're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. Of course I'm happy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, guess what? Arizona's terrible.
Our Like It or Not segment was brought to you by Sport Clips Unfinished Business is next.
I'll take a win.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. As always, Pat starts us off.
I am wearing my daughter, Stella Duffy's 14U Rochester Edge girls travel hockey jersey for a reason, because coming up Saturday, September 30th is Edge kickoff weekend. The entire organization, the little ones 8U all the way up to the end of the program, and alumni coming back, taking over the regional Iceplex on the campus of MCC from the early morning all the way into the evening, playing games with all the teams all day long. We are having a girls hockey renaissance here in the greater Rochester area. The Bishop Kearney girls team is one of the best in the country, traveling all over the place. There are 2 other girls travel hockey programs that hundreds of girls are playing in, and we are on the cusp of a Section 5 girls hockey league that looks like it could start as soon, club style, as this season. If you have a daughter, little ones, that are thinking about playing, great news. Even on that day, Saturday, there will be a Try Hockey for Free event that'll be run not only by the Edge, but the Buffalo Sabres organization. And if you're a fan of hockey, look at me. You know what a hockey fan I am. This is great hockey from all the way down to all the way up. Saturday, September 30th, the Regional Iceplex on the campus of MCC. Come on out, share the sport with little ones in your life, and cheer these girls on, because they are pumped to get their season started.
Everybody knows you need a top quarterback in the NFL, and there were surely a lot of quarterbacks in this offseason that got paid. Jalen Hurts got paid, Joe Burrows got paid, but there was one quarterback that got paid, and you didn't even hear about it. Matter of fact, this past week, he got an upgrade on his contract. His name is, I don't know, the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, 2 Super Bowl championships, been to 3 Super Bowls. What's his name again? I don't know. Maybe a commercial's coming up about him. And anyway, Kansas City made a fantastic decision of renegotiating their contract with a quarterback that will be still somewhat in his prime by the time his contract is done in 2023. I'm, of course, talking about Patrick Mahomes. The guy was able to renegotiate his contract to be the highest paid quarterback with the most awards and won the most championships of all the quarterbacks that got their contract restructured. I love the fact that it was so done so quietly, even when the team is trying to go for yet another championship this year. Listen, I don't know if they're going to win one. There's definitely a chance that he could get there again. But Patrick Mahomes does his business quietly and wins his games loudly.
Following their 2022 baseball season, the Savannah Bananas made a monumentous decision. They dropped out of the Coastal Plain Collegiate League and took their show on the road. The Bananas, while still based in Savannah, played in 33 other cities across 21 states this past summer. They finished up their season in upstate New York with games in Syracuse and Cooperstown. They played 70 games in all. All of them were sellouts. Banana Ball is an amazing curiosity. The Bananas bring their own band. If a fan catches a foul ball cleanly in the stands, the batter is out. Each inning is its own game. Celebrations are required and routinely spread to the seats. There is no bunting, no walks. You can steal first base. The game is 9 innings or 2 hours, whichever comes first. Walk-up music is played throughout the entire at-bat. The stadium soundtrack is continuous, everything from Tom Petty and Taylor Swift to SpongeBob and a Burger King commercial. The Bananas saved some of their best work between innings. There was a baby race. Grandma gladiators with a couple of 70-somethings going at it with swimming pool noodles. And my personal favorite, human cornhole. Two families compete. The kids throw water balloons at their dads and score points by hitting them in the face. What's better than that? You come away from the event spiritually spent. Satisfied, but spent. A steady diet of banana ball would be too much. Its only drawback. But until these guys run out of places to play, which isn't likely, the crowds will follow. That's our unfinished business, and that is our program, gentlemen.
Whatever you do, don't Google human cornhole.
Yeah. I wanted to get into the explanation really fast. That's going to be the first thing you do.
How do I get it out of my mind?
Don't do it.
That is our program. Thanks very much for attending, and we'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.
We doing it again? All right, good. Good. We nailed it, everybody.
Wow, I didn't think it was going to pass the censor either.